Thanks for waiting, everybody. Welcome to another AMA stream on the 28th of January 2024. Here we have Alejandro, who is the head of Spanish marketing. To the left of me, left of me on the stream. Yeah, that's right. We have David Owen Morris, who's the co-founder of Raptorium. Bottom left down there, we have the Shermanator, also known as Adam Sherman, who is the head of the Discord moderation. And below here, we have Dirty Miner, who is also Discord moderation. He's also the head of Shitcoins, although he hasn't got really a lot to talk about them ever. He's also working over at Raptahash as well. So, yeah. That's the introductions. I think what I would like to do is first go around here and ask how things are, because obviously this is an AMA stream. Rather than you waiting through the entire AMA until you tell us what you've been up to and things, it's probably a good idea to get it done now. So Alejandro, how are you and what have you been up to?
We are fine. The community, we are fine too. We are still on the competition in CoinEx. We lost against Shiba Inu community in the Spanish, but I'm sure we're gonna get better. Well, of course, Shiba Inu Spanish community have a lot of people there, so but we are on it. We are the quantity of persons that are in Shiba Inu community and the ones that are on Raptorium in Spanish, I think we are done great. I think so, yes.
Well, I mean,
you get like
Shiba Inu is
400 votes.
Huge token with hundreds of thousands of community members. So, yeah, I think we did all right. At least we tried, you know.
I think they have something like 1.5 million holding wallets on ETH.
Well, there we go.
I was expecting more people from them, but it's okay. We get like 30% of the vote, so it's a lot. I think it's a lot.
It's decent.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Decent. I'm happy with that. So how is things otherwise with the Spanish community, and what are you working on at the moment?
We are just with the social networks and trying to do something else with CoinEx. I hope so. See if we can do something. Maybe in one of these weeks we do something with another, like AMA or something like that. We will see. Yes.
Awesome stuff.
AMA.
Yeah. Fantastic. Sherm, how is things with the Discord and what are the community doing and what's exciting at the moment?
Well, the community's doing good. I mean, obviously everybody's excited for Assets development. I've seen some updates on the GitHub, so that's exciting to see. Things are moving forward. Everybody enjoyed the spaces on Twitter or X now. Heard some good reviews. I think everybody enjoyed hearing from different projects on different topics. Move the space forward, so that was good to see. So, and also we had let's see, this week Santos trivia. So Santos ran trivia one of the days this week. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. His rigging, so that went well.
Is he still an admin, or is he removed now?
I didn't remove him yet, so he still might be technically a junior mod.
Yeah, because he was sending weeb stuff over into the general chat, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of an absence, so you have a little bit of pent-up energy, get a rile up vibe in a little bit.
Yeah.
We got weebs?
Yeah, I told you, Santos started sending weebs and things to the general chat.
That's all right.
So,
it's just weebs.
Shall we leave him as an admin or shall we remove him?
Well, so far, so good. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just leave him. He's not done anything atrocious yet.
He has got history. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, so do all of us.
Falcon's saying RTM with 30% of the vote versus Shib. Is RTM with 30% of Shib's market cap thune?
I mean, they've got a community overall.
Yeah, it sounds good. What else? There's some updates with RCC, isn't there, Sherm? What's that? Explorer or something?
Oh, the Explorer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now there's an Explorer, so you can actually go and search by block. You can search by transaction or wallet address and see some information about, what's there on the Explorer. So you can do search block number, see who hit block 69420, for example.
And there's a new command as well, RTM rug. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's actually RTM rug and TRTM rug. But if you go to bot commands, you type in rtm.rug. It's basically a faucet, so it'll send you a little bit of RTM. The same thing with TRTM, testnet RTM works the same way. TRTM.rug, and it'll send you some testnet RTM. And if you choose to, you can also send to the faucet and do RTM.send, RTM at the wallet bot address or the ping for the wallet master wallet bot.
All right, brilliant. Dirty Miner, Edwin Antonez.
Hello.
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 What is going on in the world of Raptor Hash and various other shitcoins?
Raptor Hash. We got a bunch of updates on the website.
Look, I told you guys, this guy's got a lot to say,
Always well prepared.
Yeah, just some updates on the website. There you go. See you later.
Yeah, there's some updates on the website. You can see like where if you found a block recently, it'll give you like all your conversions between which shitcoins you mined for RTM. How it'll have a little star if you found the block.
What about the fee updates?
Which updates?
The fee updates, depending on.
Oh yeah. So we're still keeping 0% RTM because that's the main goal of the pool. So if you want to mine like, obviously we don't support Bitcoin, but if you wanted Bitcoin, you had to be mining Bitcoin, and then that's 1% fee, and that's called native coin. But if you want to get paid in any of the coins that we support on the pool, then it's 5% because we don't really want you to do that. But if you want to do that, then you got to pay the 5%. And that's to get people to choose RTM for 0% payouts.
So it's 0% for RTM, right? 3% if you mine a different coin and get paid
1%.
out in that coin, or 1%. 1% if you mine a coin and get paid out in that other coin, and then put 5% if you want to mine one coin and get paid out in a different coin.
Yeah.
Other than RTM, of course. Okay.
And the wider world of shitcoins, any news?
Bunch of scams. Nothing new, but which one was it? Nolanium. It looks like wait, yeah, that one. What's it called? The dude's been like in part of a couple other scams, so be careful with that one.
Okay.
We removed Rex or REIX from Raptor Hash because of the issues that coin presented. I think the dev like restarted the chain back a couple blocks or something, where he had all the master nodes. Vish AI is doing pretty good for like if you have your incels compared to if they were mining Ghostwriter, because they don't have that much L3 cache. And then we added some other RandomX coin called Tabo to Raptor Hash. Yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
Okay, brilliant. All right, cheers, guys. Thanks for the small updates on things. Now we're gonna get started with the AMA. Big thanks to everyone that sent in questions to us. I've just brought up the list of questions here that people have sent in. There's a fair few, so we'll just get started with them. David, do you want to do the first one?
Yeah. What about business pool? Well, I mean, I'm not quite sure what that question means, but I mean, the business pool is where transactions will be sorted out by the nodes and then later sent for notarization on the main chain. It's on the way.
Okay.
So I assume that that covers it, but I don't know.
If there's any more questions about the business pool or what aspect of that, just shoot it in the chat and we'll answer it. The next question is, I'm looking forward to the dev streams you mentioned on X. What shall we expect from them? We aim to showcase some of the smaller issues at GitHub with Tree and Vertex, explaining in somewhat layman's terms what is going on and why it matters as well, to the larger picture of the code, deployment, and also fixing it live as well. We also aim to have major showcases of ready code so that you all can get a feel for what is coming and how you should integrate that into your current operations, be it business or personal. We also feel it is of great value to the project, and you all, when seeing some of the day-to-day work that we're actually putting into this at a large scale. We've put so much work into the weekly updates and other areas, and we felt that seeing the development side was lacking, and it can be very beneficial to both everyone who supports the project now and also people and businesses who are looking for a project or solution in blockchain to get behind and support. I think it's important to hit all bases, and every single day we are getting closer and closer to the goal of achieving that. David, you want to take the next one?
Oh, what's taking you so long? Are your devs half asleep or something? Well, whoever asked that question, go have a look at GitHub. We've got a decent number of commits there, so go stick it in a meat mincer and learn to read. That's all I have to say to that. It's not really...
You take the next one as well, mate.
I see you have a dev, Bertux. What's good about that guy? Would be nice to find out about what he brings to the table. Well, he's a great addition to the team. He brings an awful lot of experience in the blockchain space. Safe, Global, MyEther Wallet, Satoshi Labs, Superfluid, Uniswap, Graph, Snapshot Labs, DeFi Llama, Fuse, Ethereum itself, and that's just in the last couple of years. Going back before that, also multiple UTXO chains. He's very experienced, but we're really not going to sit and serve up too much of his work experience on here, as he does have a certain amount of a right to privacy. Go read the GitHub.
Yeah, you might as well take that one as well, mate, if you want.
Okay. Oh, trolls. 18 months ago, we'd get 4 trolls a week hopping on the Discord to call RTM a dying rug pull pyramid scheme or similar. Now we hardly get them at all. In your opinion, what's changed? We've had some fairly recently, but the overall dynamic of the market has shifted, and it looks like there are overall better times ahead. That makes some of the more sad and emotionally price-focused individuals in the space have less time on their hands.
Yeah. I think we've also changed a lot in terms of how we present ourselves, with consistent weekly live videos and shorts in between. I mean, we didn't do this before 18 months ago, including these AMAs. And we've really made an effort to make this accessible on many platforms, with thanks to Hunter, also known as HNS, and also with the social automations too, which go to lots of different platforms. I think the bottom line is we're passionate in what we do. This is why we're here every single day, working hard on all the aspects of the project. And we believe that if we are, then eventually the world will be too. We're really excited for what's coming, and we are not focused on price in making our goals and dreams a reality for the greater good of blockchain. David,
Can we expect the major exchange listing this year?
I mean,
Can you expect it? No. Could it happen? Sure.
okay. Yeah, next one, I'll take that one. RTM should do weekly X blasts with the community. The community is large enough that it might be possible to get RTM trending for a bit. Are you guys willing to try this? This would work like gathering a group of willing Raptors, organising in Discord, and then finding and posting recent tweets from X, and everybody gets to reply with a relevant text, a few related tags, RTM at Raptorium, hashtag Raptorium. Everybody likes each other's tweets to give them more weight. Also adding a GIF or meme to replies will increase screen time on replies, which the X algo likes. Make it like a 5 or 6 hour event. Replies should not be spammy though, relevant and with some class. I mean, yeah, I agree. Weekly blasts would be great, and it would also be productive if we could reward in the efforts and encourage participation as well. I've spoken with Charlie about a system of operation in regards to this, and we've already created a specific channel for this on the Discord that is currently secret until we iron a few things out. Ideally, I would like to see it bot-based, a little bit like RTM Rug, but having to provide like a link of sorts to the tweet or the work that you've done for it to check. I know that's probably not the easiest thing to check, and I mean, in the simplest terms, it could check cloned links and things like that, and if they contain the hashtags on the actual tweets. But then again, I suppose that rolls into the whole, you know, social platform that we have planned as well. I mean, we can have auto checking via specific hashtags through some of the automations that we currently use. But the main issue with those is it's not instant, and it's important that it's instant in this instance. And yes, I totally agree. Non-spammy and with some class and maybe a bit of decorum about them does help. I think if we start doing them manually, checking first, then we should be able to make it work. So once me and Charlie have got a bit more time on our hands, we've already planned to get this rolling. So yeah, by all means, bro. Thanks for your suggestion, and we're already on it. So yeah, Piggy, you might as well take the next one. So,
Yeah. Ordinals are a mistake by BTC. They're trying to make BTC something it's not, and the result is pretty clear, headed in exactly the same direction as ETH. I do not think Satoshi would have approved. Raptorium seems to be doing this in the right way, thinking about future growth and maintaining low fees and ensuring network chain TPS is sufficient for the foreseeable future. It is probably apples to oranges. Can you describe the differences between ordinals and RTM assets? Okay. So, ordinals are part of Taproot, which was added during the second to latest implementation of BTC code. Changes that fundamental and far-reaching will always have a certain amount of error or openness to abuse, as we've seen. And if you're watching and don't already know, ordinals have at times ground the BTC network to almost a halt. Raptorium assets are completely different in the way they're deployed. They're not added to the actual transactions. They form their own transaction class, which makes it very different. Also, there are rule sets governing how RTM assets work on chain. So you can't use it to bypass size limits on transactions, which you can do with ordinals, which essentially means that ordinals are at the moment pretty much junk in many ways and just bloating the chain. Anyway, Paul, if you field the next one.
all right. Why should a company use the Raptorium blockchain to verify a product's genuine status as opposed to the ways they currently do it? I think having verification data published on chain and accessible via like a QR code in an asset will essentially cost a fraction of current alternate methods. I think another thing to mention is that current systems are open to manipulation and fraud, being on a centralized database. So the blockchain is an ideal solution. Couple this with our upcoming contracting in Java and Python, using the distributed application umbrella of Apache Spark. It will give automations to these assets that fit in with their current systems. I think I'll take the next one as well.
Yeah.
Why would a company... What's up?
Go.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Next one is, why would a company choose the Raptorium chain to do this rather than another EVM-based mainstream blockchain that is already out there? I assume that's a continuation from the last thing. The last question is probably the same guy. Because Raptorium assets are UTXO-based, meaning that the majority of functions required by EVM or Ethereum-based Solidity chains are possible on the main chain of Raptorium. The key benefit of this is something that has always been very high on our development goals, and that is simply security. As we've seen for many years now, EVM-based chains are open to rugs and exploits and many issues. Now, if you are providing a genuine verification and you want to be sure that the system is robust and not open to abuse, what would you choose? An EVM system that has proven to be flawed and where investors have lost millions and millions of dollars time and time again every single year, or a chain that is super cheap, very quick, and more importantly, secure? I know what I would choose.
Yeah.
David, I think that one...
Oh, yeah. What qualities does Bertux carry into the Raptorium project, and where has he worked before?
It's similar to the other one, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, we've already explained this in a previous question. You can go back and check that out.
Yeah, you might as well take the next one as well. That wasn't even
Yeah.
a question, was it?
If you're able to do most things that other chains can do without contracts, then why do you talk about contracts in Python and Java? It's very simple, really. We're open to going where no man has gone before, essentially. Want to open up lots of new business opportunities for using the RTM chain, combining contracts in languages with very large developer pools, with automations, which we're adding to the chain protocol itself. It allows for a whole very wide range, really, of options that aren't possible on other chains, and we're looking forward to seeing where we can go with that. We wouldn't want to just repeat what other people have done before. Yeah, Paul?
All right. Yeah. All right. I'll take that one. Once assets are live, developers can build apps for their businesses. How can we make their job easier when they sell their RTM-based solution to the C-suite? I think one of the main directions we can take, and we've already talked about this in the past as well, but is ease of use. We're very interested in working closely with and helping businesses integrate with Raptorium's technology. And we've also spoken about providing the vendor platform to facilitate many of the use cases required for business operations to coexist and thrive. Another direction we can take is like a template system. Also, we can go, you know, look at this, what we can do, look at how these guys are doing it. We also plan to have quality video content that showcases the power in use, and also the solutions brought to both the end user and businesses alike. And I think I would also assume that we can make a deck-based presentation and go show them ourselves. Some of the most successful chains have ushered a developer to aid in integration, especially in the early stages, and we're also open to providing that service for a partnership or use of the network that aims to be prominent and key to snowballing growth. So yeah, we're open to doing that sort of thing. David, you want to take the next one?
Yeah. If I ran a country's voting system, tell me about using blockchain and Raptorium to reduce fraud and restore confidence in my system. Well, this really comes down to how transparent you want it, and without that, can't really give a decent answer, because it could be as simple as just issuing everybody a token on chain that they can send somewhere via an app to vote, or it could be doing the same thing but obfuscating it behind multiple layers of privacy, so you can prove that the people who were issued the tokens are the ones who were sending them, but you can't prove who sent what token where. You can only prove the final totals, and you can prove that nothing has been, no vote has been wasted, etc. It's not a straightforward question at all, because it really depends on how much you want to counteract control and possible coercion. I mean, the fraud aspect of it is easy enough. Just about any solution on blockchain would make that better. But the linkability and traceability are not necessarily a good thing. We have seen in different places where essentially areas that voted for opposition parties have been penalized very heavily by the ruling government, and people being treated unfairly because of that, and the other way around as well. In opposition controlled areas, people voting for the ruling party being mistreated. It's something that really should only be implemented with the maximum possible amount of privacy involved. But yeah, would need more specifics on it to see what's what. Paul,
Okay.
this one is from one of the OnlyFans girls. I'm pretty sure it is.
I run a streaming media service. Tell me about using RTM to reduce subscription piracy and abuse issues. And assume I am not a techie. Well, I suppose, fencing your content off and only allowing access via, say, like a particular NFT or assets is a fairly straightforward process. And we can facilitate this on chain by a number of ways. One being, you could sign your login using the encryption of the blockchain wallet. Is that too techie? As shown with Charlie's RAS system, also known as Raptorium Authentication System. You could also easily buy your tokenized subscription on the upcoming assets marketplace as well. Then you could top up your subscription using an RTM infused app specific to the provider, and have it unlock at the right time by using our futures code with the subscription asset required, which unlocks at the correct time at the service side. Then this could go back on the market by them, completing the circular economy of business to consumer. This means that the login is decentralized and not open to abuse. I think one of the main issues plaguing many of these streaming platforms is, in fact, piracy that you mentioned. It's not like the old days where a guy would sit at the back of the cinema with a janky camera and film it before it came out to then be distributed across the world in various manners and forms. I mean, yes, that does still happen, but with the rise of Netflix and other popular streaming services, the emergence of the hype around a new series or program has, in my opinion, allowed the everyday man to copy it in as good quality as it was intended for the end user. So as a result of that, I don't think it's up to the payment service such as RTM to police that, or to even have a say in controlling it. This is an issue with the content provider, and I think they have to resolve that. And with blockchain or not, I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. But to recap, yes, subscriptions-based fraud can be solved with the Raptorium chain, and I would be more than happy to work with through some of the implementation aspect on making that happen when assets is released with any of the streaming providers.
I mean, there will actually be fairly easy ways to fix this once Talon is working properly.
Yep.
Because then you can just route via that for a decryption key.
Yeah, you could just sign it with a Talon wallet. Mancini, don't get worried just yet. Maybe soon, yeah. David?
Next week would be good.
Yeah, we'll see. We're getting there. Yeah,
I run a large IT department. Tell me how RTM can help make disaster recovery better or faster. We can't really at the moment, but once we have contracts, someone might store backups on nodes, etc., or pay for storage. If you want decentralized backups, that can definitely be done, but not till we have contracts out and running. If that's what you meant, if you meant things like checkpointing and access control, that could potentially also be solved with authentication tokens on chain. There's a myriad of ways that can be done and implemented. But the question specifically says disaster recovery. So decentralized backups would probably be one of the more efficient things to do here. That we can do, but not till we're running contracts. Paul?
Okay. I am new to RTM and have been trying to find what makes RTM different. What is it doing to carve out its place in the industry? I get decentralization with CPU brackets Ghost Rider, but I think futures transactions the way RTM did them is a first. That's right, yeah. Assets are great, but how are they done different and or better than other projects? Let's say, for example, assets on Raven versus RTM. Why would people choose RTM assets when they hit mainnet before contracts are available? Are there any other projects which offer contracts in common languages at this time? All right, so there's several questions there. I think the main difference between Raven assets and our assets is transaction decoupling, which doesn't exist on.
That's not really part of assets per se. The structure is somewhat different, and we don't have the restricted assets that we've got that Ravencoin has, where basically you lock different assets to a wide list of addresses. We don't have that.
I think if we do some comparisons with some other chains while we're on here, I mean, we can start off with Cardano. They've got a max supply of 45 billion. Their consensus is Ouroboros proof of stake. They are a distributed stake network. Their scaling solution is not yet fully implemented. It's actually called the Vassal fork. Current performance of Cardano is 250 transactions per second. Their smart contract language is somewhat obscure in Marlow Plutus. And then we move on to Stellar. Stellar's max supply are 50 billion. Their consensus is federated Byzantine agreements. They have a scaling solution called Auto Federations, and they are voting in with that as well. Their performance is somewhat better than Cardano's at 1,000 transactions per second. It tends to be fixed on that. It doesn't tend to change in the way they've deployed their blockchain, which is fairly cool. Their smart contract language is upcoming. It's not fully deployed yet, and that's going to be Rust based. Yeah, their rewards for their proof of stake at the moment is only around 1%, so that's pretty dead in the water at the moment. So I think they're working hard on, well, changing that maybe soon. Moving on to the Waves protocol, again, their supply is actually unlimited as far as I understand it. They have leased proof of stake with a distributed node system. Their scaling solution is it's just dependent on network throughput, so it changes depending on the amount of transactional data that's going through it. Strange thing about Waves is because the network's not currently used an entire, or not very much really. The last I looked at their TPS was, I think it was 1.6. But obviously, as I said earlier, that's just scale up depending on how busy the network is. Their smart contract language is something called RIDE, which is another kind of obscure language. So, you know, development pool is limited. Moving on to, we could talk about Polygon. Their max supply is 10 billion. They're primarily proof of stake. Their decentralization is a DAO with interconnected blockchain networks. Their scaling solution is a little bit different to the others that I've mentioned in the fact that they're stacking protocols in order to get extra performance out of the chain. So they're just basically layering the chains. Their current performance is pretty nice at around 7,000 transactions per second, plus or minus, but it does seem to hover around that range. Unfortunately, their smart contract language is Solidity, as we always talk about the exploits and things with Solidity. Their yearly APR tends to be a lot better than those other chains I've mentioned. We move on to Solana, again another chain with no limits to its max supply. They have something called a hybrid proof of stake and POH as well. They are not very decentralized, Solana are not, because they're quite validator heavy. They have something similar to Polygon in that they're chunking transactions per node, and so basically they will have a centralized command that tells the other nodes what transactions they need to process, and that's how they can have a throughput, high quick throughput of transactions on the network. It's currently at around 4,000 TPS, but it can go much higher, as seen in tests that we've seen. But yeah, again, very centralized. Their smart contracting language is Rust, and it's getting quite a good developer pool, still about the same as Solidity in the grand scheme of things. But their reward APR is a lot better than the other chains I've mentioned as well. Moving on to Ravencoin, their supply is the same as Raptorium's, 21 billion coins. They are literally a proof of work chain. They have a DEX consensus and security model. Their scaling solution is, well, literally non-existent. Their performance currently is at 116 TPS, which is a lot lower than the other chains we've just talked about. They don't have a smart contracting language planned. Neither are there any talks or literally anything substantial in their development side of things going on. They are primarily GPU mining coin, and they tend to mine very warm. Is that right, Sherm? Then we can move on to something like Algorand. They are at 10 billion max supply. They are primarily proof of stake. They're not very decentralized because they have something called permission gatekeepers. Their scaling solution involves PPOS, which is a random validator selection, a little bit like Solana. Their transactions per second right now is, I think it's, last I looked, it was like 10.38 or something like that. But it does scale up a little bit like Waves does in the way it can scale up depending on network throughput. I think their max is around 6,000 transactions per second, something like that. their smart contracting language is quite obscure. It's called Teal. Again, I mean, I've worked on Algorand projects and possibly over there as well, and I know that one of the main issues that they had was their smart contracting language and getting people to build on chain, and there was a lot of grants and things to try and encourage developers to do that. Their current reward APR is getting lower and lower as well, so you know the incentive to actually stake with Algorand is getting minimal by the day. Then we can move on to Ethereum. Ethereum is chain-based proof of stake. One of the main issues with Ethereum is two addresses control literally 43% of all the validator pools. Their scaling solution is something called ZK optimistic rollups. Their TPS is not as big as you might think. It's 29.33 or something like that TPS currently. Obviously their smart contracting language is Solidity, which we absolutely love, don't we? The reward APR for their staking is currently at around 3% plus or minus. Yeah, so you know, not great exploits and various things on Ethereum, and we've talked about it so many times until we're blue in the face, so no need to mention that anymore. But then we can move on to Raptorium, which is who we are, and our max supply is the same as Ravencoin at 21 billion. We are a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake, with everything done at wallet side, which is great for SEC compliance and things like that. We've got over 1,000 nodes now on the network, fully decentralized, and we've also at times approached over 15,000 miners. Our solutions to scalability, as we've spoken about earlier, is transaction decoupling. Charlie's created a tool the other day to measure TPS on the network, which was 180 the last time we measured, which is more than Ravencoin. On our test models that we've got for transaction decoupling, our TPS was at around 8,000, which is comparable with some of these other top chains, which is pretty nice. Our smart contracting language is not a language, it's languages that we're working on, which is obviously Java, Python, Scala and more, using the distributed application umbrella of Apache Spark. And our yearly APR for nodes is a lot more than these other chains. I don't know what it is at the moment, something like, I think it's like 12 or 13%, isn't it? So that's a lot higher than these other chains as well. So all in all, I think when you compare to several of these chains, we're in a lot better stead with our development goals, and we are certainly excited from a team's side of things in deploying the network as we want to deploy it, because we know that we can make a good stand possibly in the top 100. Do your own research, not financial advice. Hope that answers your question. Okay, David, you want to do the next one?
Sure. My question is, as we know, AI technology is spreading to the world of crypto. Is Raptorium will implement it? I mean, in some ways, yes. In other ways, no. Apache Spark is ideal for doing distributed work, which is what a lot of AI essentially is. They chunk out work to a lot of distributed PCs and then reassemble it together at the node, which basically lends itself very well to the RTM structure. You should be able to, at some point in the future, if you're running a smart node, point your GPUs or CPUs at it for certain types of AI jobs, and then run them on the network. It's not going to be fully implemented until contracting is out, but we do have some, well, not even prototyping, but more like proof of concept things in testing right now with one of our developers who's specialized in Apache Spark. So yeah,
David,
that's that.
memory wallet leak. Someone's salty. What's this?
Well, someone can feel free to make a verifiable report with the version of the wallet, its runtime, the operating system, etc. I've got wallets running since August last year that are still well within the parameters set for them, so if they don't provide the data to reproduce it, it's not really an issue as far as I'm concerned.
You might as well do the next one as well. It's a bit technical, that
Okay.
one.
Yeah. Raptorium promises support for languages like Java, Python, C++. How's this compatibility been implemented, and what specific advantages does it offer to developers who prefer working with these languages? It hasn't been implemented yet, but it will be implemented via Apache Spark, which is a VM solution that currently runs a very large number of analytics engines across the internet, as well as Twitter. I mean, it offers the main advantage that it offers is the broader language support. So the pool of people who can develop code for Apache Spark is much larger than the pool of, say, Solidity developers, and we're not talking by like there are a few thousand more. We're talking about there are a few thousand times more developers with skills in Java, Python, C, C++, than there are with skills in Solidity. So, I mean, a much larger ecosystem to draw on, a lot of existing libraries to draw on, quite a few developers who can support work and help provide solutions. I mean, it's the two just don't compare really. If we're comparing it to, say, EVM-based chains, it's a completely different kettle of fish. It's not even apples to oranges. It's like elephants to mice or something like that. We're trying to compare.
The next one talks about all of that stuff again. I don't know if you've already answered that. Let's talk about integration with libraries and frameworks in Java, Python, and C++. How can developers harness existing libraries in these languages to enhance their applications in Raptorium?
But I mean, most of these these libraries already exist for the Apache Spark engine, and most of this stuff will just port over directly. So they're not having to make a change. They're not having to make a switch. They can work with terms they feel comfortable with and don't need to go and reinvent the wheel, basically, which is a pretty big thing.
Security is paramount in blockchain. How does Ghostwriter address security challenges, and how does it ensure network resilience against potential threats? Well, I don't think it's just Ghostwriter, is it? I mean, that's one part of it.
No, I mean, if we look at what the algo does on its own, what it does is it keeps us with relatively, well, it's no longer unique since we've been forked several hundred times by now. What it does do is it makes the development of ASICs and FPGAs very expensive, time consuming, and unpleasant for developers to work with. A large part of the development work would essentially be the equivalent of watching paint dry. Yeah, which nobody wants to do. So, I mean, in that sense, it helps by being antagonistic to this type of liquidity drainers. But I mean, in terms of security itself, initially it was also a unique proof of work. I think we still have about as much hash as all the other Ghostwriter chains combined, but it's definitely become a lot more distributed.
These are the ones that have just come in. How are smart contracts developed and deployed using Java, Python, or C++ in Raptorium? And what are the key considerations for developers in these languages?
You would initially build a jar file, a Py file, or one of the different executable forms for C, and you would upload that via an on-chain transaction. It would go into a scanning engine that will check it in several different ways. and then from there, it'll become live on chain.
All right.
Key considerations. We need to get a lot closer to a finished product before we can really start talking about key considerations.
Okay. For developers accustomed to working in popular languages such as Java, Python, or C++, what is the development experience like in Raptorium, and how does it ensure to leverage the unique features of these languages? I think it's still too early to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same basically.
It's asking
need to get-
it's asking the question as if it's already happening.
Yeah, and I mean it is to some extent, but what we have on that now could turn out tomorrow to be wrong, so we're not going to really go and say anything on that.
But the
Need to be
development,
closer to a finished product before we're going to basically go into details on that. Yeah.
but as far as our developers are concerned and their knowledge of those languages, I suppose you could tell the people more about what they're skilled in and how those languages are possibly, you could say, part of their bread and butter.
Yeah, but I mean that's not really what they're asking. They're asking how this works inside the Apache Spark container.
I know, I was trying to just give you a different angle to maybe give them an answer. I know we can't
No,
answer it like that. Edwin, are you here? Dirty Miner, have you fallen asleep?
No. I'm
No,
just
no.
doing something.
So I've got a question for you here that's just come in. How can inodes more with the goal of increasing public awareness and participation? So what would you like us to do? Do you think we're doing all right as it is? I mean, we've mentioned it enough on the stream. I think that you guys need to promote yourselves more. You're not even on Twitter where crypto happens, all the news happens. If you were on Twitter, then that'd be great. We'd be able to push things out and do all of that, and especially like on YouTube, showing videos of the platform working and all this. You guys don't do that, so I'm kind of flipping it around. You're gonna do that.
Yeah. Maybe later this year.
Maybe. Oh, come on. Now with all your fees and things in there, you'd definitely get more rolling on that if you did all of that. So as far as support is concerned, from our side of things at Raptorium, you know, we do support those. They're on the website. They're on the deck that we send out to people. We do tweet about them. If they tweeted as well, we would retweet it. They've got direct channel into our Discord that goes straight to the community, and we always talk about them on the streams and whenever there's a possibility to, because you know we're happy that there are other projects that are, you know, utilizing the Raptorium coin and growing the network of users. So you know. We do push it out as far as we can push it out in terms of the way we run in our social networks and things like that. In terms of support, maybe we can make videos on how to use it and things like that from the official YouTube channel here. Maybe we can you know, tweet about it more and things like that. But I think that it's a two-way street as well. You know, I mean, I know that iNodes does send a lot of social media out. He's Mike's quite active on the Discord in sending updates out as well, so you know he does really well with that. And as you can see, it's a very popular platform, and he's now added some various other coins as well, whereas before it was primarily Raptorium, and that's to cover costs and things like that. But yeah, like I say, he does push out information on Twitter and he's really attentive with that. Wasn't so much the last 6 months, but he has picked it up, especially as the market's turned around and more users are using the platform. So yeah, and it's sometimes there's a bit of a tricky situation, being that we can really push things and talk about things a lot, and we do, but one of the tricky things is when we see these projects and that start supporting projects that we're not really aligned with, and things like that, it becomes a bit more tricky. And also when we're pushing support out for certain projects, we've got an aspect of liability to think about as well, because if things went wrong in certain areas, then we don't want things to come back onto us at Raptorium. So there's a fine line to walk, and I think we're walking the fine line pretty well at the moment. And it's also another aspect of looking at all of this as well is it's not just the case of who promotes who. It's a case of how is the wider market performing, and how are the assets performing that these projects, RaptorHash and iNodes and whoever else is supporting the Raptorium network. How are those assets performing? I mean, Edwin was talking about earlier how he was removing a coin that was a scam from the RaptorHash system, and that's something that we like to see. You know, that's a good thing to see. That shows that they care about the community and things like that. Now, in terms of iNodes, they are by far the best shared node service that there is at the moment, in my opinion. Solinode is good if you want to use Solinode, but I prefer iNodes. Yes, the fees are a lot higher, or somewhat higher, and he has recently raised them, but he does things really well. He's really upfront. He's very good at communicating, and yeah, things are a lot different with iNodes when other coins are added to the cauldron, and we've got nothing against Mike for doing that, but that also puts us in a tricky situation on how we push it. So we fully support iNodes and everything that he does, and we know that Mike's always going to make the right decision in the end. And let's not forget as well, iNodes is a proper company. It's fully insured, and if they weren't, then we wouldn't be supporting them from the get-go anyway. Isn't that right, David?
Yep.
So that's what I can say on that. But yeah, we will push out whatever we're given to push out regarding those projects, and we'll talk about them as much as we can. Okay, I can't read that one. That's in Spanish. Can you read Spanish, David?
¿Qué proyectos o asociaciones importantes se esperan para este 2024? It's basically what major things are coming up for 2024. I mean, we've got a lot of things coming up. Probably one of the things we're going to see first is going to be dual yield bridging. That's going to be either first or close to first. Assets release. What else apart from that?
Talon Wallet.
Well, yeah, Talon Wallet as well. Decoupling work on the testnet and on the mainnet, hopefully, by the end of the year. What else? I mean, quite a few things, really. We're going to start work on the vendor platform as soon as the assets are out.
Yep.
It's going to be a very interesting year, really, because we're going to start delivering on some of these main promises, plus this whole concept of dual yield bridging that we're working with a partner project on is going to be interesting. So you can put your coins into a node pool where those coins will earn rewards proportionally. The pool operator will then issue wrapped tokens for you on the EVM side. Your coins in the bridge pool will still continue to earn rewards, meaning you can go and stake on basically a bridge, on a pool on the other side of the bridge at the same time. Hence dual yield. Some of this could potentially be very lucrative, some of it less lucrative. We'll see. Only time will tell how it all goes. But I'm looking forward to that and to assets, getting assets out there.
Okay, next question is, what is the simplest way for users / Raptor investors to support the project? I think marketing is key, and portraying RTM as a trusted and stable coin is a good place to start. Yeah, I mean, excellent question, really, even though it's a simple question. The simplest way for people to support a project, to support this project, is to hold a little bit of RTM. I mean, if you're not holding RTM, you're not supporting it. That's the simplest way of doing it. Other things that you could do is you could like the tweets, you could share what you've learned from maybe this AMA, maybe some of our other things that we put out, maybe some of the dev streams. Show your friends, show if you really believe in what we're building and what we're showing you that we're building, and you're as passionate as we are about building what we're building, then share it. You know what I mean? Just share it. It's just the simplest of thing about being on the Discord. Be part of the community. I mean, the numbers are what matters to some of the bigger places that we're trying to knock doors on. Knock the door, you know what I mean? And they look at the numbers, and if you're not following us and you're just looking at what we're doing and you're liking what we're doing, but you're not following, I don't know why you're watching us if you're not following. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that look at our YouTubes and they're not subscribing. Another thing you could do is subscribe if you really want to support us as well, especially in a marketing aspect. We've got a new thing now on YouTube where we've got 4 levels that you could participate in every month, and all that goes towards marketing, which me and Hunter are really working towards, and we've got a nice plan for it. So big thanks to Fudweiser and the other guy as well. That's monthly subscribers now. So there's things like that you can support us with. You could be part of the Trivia Nights. Trivia Nights is one of the biggest nights in blockchain as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's absolutely chaotic. It's proper degenerate, and it's a really good time. And we've really been consistent with that from the start. Trivia's twice a week, and it's free RTM for you to hold, and that's another thing. Like we mentioned earlier, is holding Raptorium. If you don't want to buy it, come and take part in trivia and be part of all of that and be part of the community. And every person that's part of the community means we're a stronger force moving forward. And especially when assets are deployed that we're all excited about, we can really get this moving well. And the more of us that there is, the more cool things that we can build to really build out the ecosystem that we know it can be.
Yeah. You can come and guess what's green and brown on my desk.
Exactly. All right. Okay. So that rounds it up for the questions on the
Wouldn't
show.
happen to be some buds, would it?
Yeah, no. It was peanut sauce for some spring rolls. It was just in the green container.
Okay, Boomer.
All right. I'm going to check the YouTube chat now to see if there's any questions on here, and maybe say hi to a few people. Mental Mining UK, how you doing, bro? We've got Zap Pirate on there. Black Panda Mining is saying the best CPU token in the world is back. Here I am. Oh, it's you. How you doing, bro? Sorry about that the other day. You see this guy here below me? That's the guy that banned you, right? He wasn't very nice at all, was he? He wasn't very nice, but nice to see you back in the Discord now. And I've been looking at your videos on your channel. Awesome stuff, and really nice to see someone supporting good CPU mining, and especially the software that you've been building as well. We'd be pleased to see what that's all about. If you want to shoot it into one of our DMs and we'll check it out. But yeah, nice to see you back, mate, and we do apologise for that. It was just a bit of a mistake, really. Zepirate won't stay for long. Are you still here? Liked and shared by Jeff. Cheers, Jeff. Alvidas say, I see people are dumping RTM hard. I think it just depends on the market, mate. If you look at BTC, it generally sort of follows it. It's just going up and down based on that. I think we'll be in a decent run soon, and like I say, when we've got what we've got planned deployed, along with all the other parts of the jigsaw, such as Talon Wallet and everything else, I think we'll start seeing the true value in what we're building, and obviously the price of the coin as well. So I wouldn't think too much about that right now, but I would be I have been stacking a little bit myself. Not financial advice to your own research, but Yesterday I bought another 470,000 because I believe in what we're building. But he says, but I love RTM activity on internet. Thank you. We are doing well with that. We're pushing lots of things out. Clearly, it's the most important part of RTM. And we're going to have dev stream soon as well, which is going to be even better. As we mentioned earlier, we want to hit all angles, and I think that's one thing that we were missing. So yeah, thanks, Alvidas.
We do know that there are an awful lot of you guys out there who actually know how to contribute and potentially contribute, and hopefully these dev streams will show you that it doesn't have to be really odd and difficult or socially awkward to contribute. You'll get a good chance to see our naked devs working through a few problems, and hopefully some of you will realize that, hey, they work on these things in just exactly the same way as you and I work on them, and maybe that'll make you pick your balls up off the floor and go and contribute.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about setting the example and showing you that anything's possible, and any contribution is also welcome.
Yep.
Alvidas is saying, I heard Nexa, creator of Bitcoin Cash, is creating a similar thing to what Raptorium is building with smart contracts for different programming languages. Knowing that Nexa is bigger on market cap, and if other coins will jump into this niche market, is Raptorium ready to compete? We were on stream with it with these guys.
I'm
weren't
not
we,
quite
before?
sure. Not quite sure if I followed all of that.
Apparently, Nexa are making smart contracts in different common languages as well as us. Are we going to compete?
Well, we could end up competing. Sure.
All right. Another question: why Raptorium has such a big supply of coins, 21 billion, compared to Bitcoin 21 million? I think one of the main things with that is so you can actually have whole coins in your hand. You shouldn't really look at supply as, oh, it's so much and it's so less, because it's all relative. If you wanted to hold like $1 of Bitcoin, you've literally got 0.000 whatever of Bitcoin to hold that $1. Now with Raptorium, you could have several coins or whatever, how many coins it is to hold. So it doesn't matter what the supply of the coin is. What you need to think about is the value that that currency brings to the blockchain ecosystem, and that is the value put onto the coins. The supply doesn't matter. That's why this is why aggregators work out coins based on market cap, because they know that the supply of a coin doesn't matter. Now, what does matter is how that supply is deployed to the end user through the emission. Now, the emission is constant, and on some chains it's stepped emissions, and that can cause volatility, short-term volatility in market activity. People can plan for an emission change, which is basically manipulation, really. So we chose to go with a smooth trailing emission. So people are not going to plan for a huge jump or halving. We just literally, have it slowly trailing over time, so it's more fairer on everybody and the miners as well. Mental Mining loves RTM and he's still mining it. Awesome, bro. 23 TLFG saying RTM is strong.
Why? Volbrecht was asking, I have a couple of Radeon RX 552 GB cards on the shelf. Yeah, they can mine Ghost Rider. It really depends on the individual cards. Somewhere between 400 hash a second up to 700 and something, I believe. But those were for some extreme overclocked editions of those old cards.
Mental Mining saying, love all you guys. Love all you do, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Good things will come. Cheers, bro. Thank you for your support. OZ is saying, I don't know if Raptorium plans on doing this, but as much as I like inodes, I'd prefer to be able to delegate to a node from my wallet, which I wonder if it could possibly be done after smart contracts. If you're going to do it from your wallet, which you can do, you would literally need a server, an IP address. Currently, the cheapest way of doing that is with Pecunia. but obviously you would need 1.8 million RTM. We don't currently do shared nodes within the RTM wallet itself. And I don't think we would like to really step on the shoes of the providers of the shared nodes either. And I know that Mike from iNodes is also talking about implementing Raptorium smart contracts to allow the operations of iNodes to be much more of an inclusive and fluent experience. So I know that there's some coins based on Monero and RandomX that are doing some sort of percentage delegation in their CLI code, but we're not going to be doing anything like that, I don't think, unless Piggy's got any other ideas.
Yeah, we might be.
We might be.
We have a couple of things in testing. It depends on how they turn out.
Yeah, but that one thing, you want about that thing with Nando?
No,
No. Okay.
no. I mean, he had one potential solution. There were a couple of other potential solutions.
Yeah. I mean, Nando's solution does actually work. I think he just needs to work a bit more on the UI for that. But actually on chain, is that what you're saying? Further down the line?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Mike. Sorry about that. Yeah, iNodes does
No,
this
I mean,
already for full nodes. Okay.
still going to need hosting providers. They're still going to need to be paid. So
But I assume that if that was the case, then you would have the owner of the initial deployment having a higher return on the node because they're actually having the IP, a little bit like what some of those Monero based chains are doing, where they have the person that's created it can then set the rewards for the rest of the people that would like to be part of the shared node service on chain. You know what I'm saying?
no, probably a lot more transparent, like how you can do delegation with point staking on, for example, something like Peercoin.
And how do they do it?
It's they send basically an on-chain transaction that delegates stake to a specific address.
Yeah.
And I mean, all that's really needed is the check on the amount of delegation to an address, but it does make hitting the exact 1.8 million a little bit.
Yeah, it is a bit iffy, and that's one of the main things that has had issues on other chains with this sort of thing at chain level. One person pulls out, then the entire node is not payable. Some of them have said, well, it can be either within the 10% range, and then we'll still pay it out. But then if it's any more than that, then they cut the node off, and then obviously you have to.
You need a minimum collateral. You need a minimum collateral. End of story.
Yeah, so it can get a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, if people want to be able to pull their funds like that, they still need to use a managed service like iNodes.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go over to the stream party chat now, and if anyone's got any last questions for us, then please fire away. Foodwiser's saying emissions after 6 p.m. are nocturnal emissions. Yeah, that's right. That's why we have an owling, although it could be any time of the day. Any questions, guys? Any last few? Or have we absolutely bloated you with information again? Is Private Sammy sending one?
Oh,
no.
See?
No, it doesn't appear that way. Oh no, sorry. You were typing for so long. I thought it was something decent you were saying. He was just pressing spacebar and delete. That's all he was doing. All right, guys. Well, a big thank you for tuning in to this month's.
Almost another squeebo.
Thank you for tuning into this month's AMA on the 28th of January 2024. I hope we've answered your questions as in depth as you would have liked. Thank you for everyone watching. Thank you for everyone on the stream as well. Sherm, Dirty Miner, Alejandro, and Piggy as well.